All right, in the next available page in your language arts composition notebook, you're going to write the following title: Direct and Indirect Objects. We did touch on this a little bit in our last unit when we were working with pronouns, subject and object pronouns. But here's where we're really going to get in depth with it. So it'll hopefully make a little bit more sense to you now than it did earlier. What I'm going to have you do is take your packet, and you're going to be using the next page in here, and I want you to watch as to what I'm going to tell you and how to tell you to cut it out and glue it. So right now, you're going to be cutting out this square here, okay, across the top, just this rectangle, okay? You do not need this, so just this rectangle. And then you have two separate other rectangles here that you're going to cut out, one here and the same one down here, okay? So I'm going to pause my video right now, and then I'm going to cut it out, and I will show you what they look like when they are done so that you know what to cut out. All right, these are the three objects you should have cut out of your page. The first one was at the top, and just like this, all the way around the outside, it's all one piece. The next one is this, all one piece, and then the next one is this, all one piece. So now I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the cutting. So you'll see some dotted lines here, but they stop so that this is all connected in the middle here. You're going to cut on the dotted line, and you're going to stop at the middle where the sentence is. And just both of the bottom pieces on that page, not with the pictures on it. Okay, so you should have this middle sentence connected, but the two dotted lines cut. This one has no other cutting. Now, we're going to take these three pieces and take our page, and we're going to put this guy up at the top. What you're going to do is you're going to glue the back side of this middle section here, right in the middle, and you're going to stick that on. These are going to be flaps that we're going to write underneath. So the only part that should be glued is this middle part here. So I'm going to pause my video and do that quickly. Continue watching to show or to see what comes next. So now that I have my underside of the middle flap glued, what I'm going to do is actually fold these guys just back like this so that I can write underneath them a little bit easier once that time comes. And that's all set. Now you have two flaps just like this. Next one, I'm going to have you take one of the two. Doesn't matter which one. Just make sure that if yours are opposite mine, that when we're doing that certain sentence that you're writing on the correct one. Just because I'm writing on my top one, it may not be your top one, so just make sure you're on the correct sentence. Okay, so now we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're just going to glue the back side of this middle guy here so that each of these can be flaps that we cut, and we're going to do the same thing to both of them. So just put a strip of glue in the middle and put that underneath. And these will all be flaps, so if you want to fold them to kind of get them ready, you can. Just like this. Okay, same thing with this bottom one. Put just a strip of glue on the back, and then fold your flaps. Okay. Now we are all set. So we're going to take some notes on this here, and then you will have an assignment to work on after you're done with the notes. So let's flip open the Direct Objects tab. Let me zoom in a little for you here so you can see. Underneath the Direct Objects tab, we are going to write the following. So we talked about this in our pronouns unit, like I said, and we had a little equation that we looked at, or that we worked with, to figure out what the direct object, or if there was a direct object in the sentence. But let's kind of backtrack and give the actual definition. So it's a noun or a pronoun that receives the action of the verb. It answers who or what. Oops. Who. WHO. Sorry. Who slash what. So this is who. WHO or what receives the verb. Okay, we have our little equation then too. We find the subject plus verb plus who or what. Okay, so we find the subject in the sentence, we find the verb in the sentence, and then we say verb who. If we can answer that question, we have a direct object. If we can't answer who, and we say verb what, and we can answer that question, we still have a direct object. It can only answer these two questions. It cannot answer any other question word. I'm going to write that in. Can't answer other questions like where or when or how. If it answers any of those, it is not considered a direct object. Just who or just what. Okay, so now let's look at the examples down below. And we're just going to fill out the top flaps of each of the sentences here and find the direct object. So we find our subject. Our subject is Mrs. Miller. So this is the sentence I'm on right now. Mrs. Miller. What did she do? She assigned. That's my verb. Subject plus verb. Subject plus verb. So I'm going to label it subject, verb. And then I ask myself, assigned who? No. Think about what this is actually doing. So here's kind of where it can get tricky. Assigned us. You're going, oh, well, that answers who? Assigned us. But she's not actually assigning us. She's not assigning the people. She's not doing something with this verb with people. She's assigning what? Assigning homework. She's not assigning the people. She's assigning the homework. So homework is my direct object. So I'm going to write homework underneath. Okay? Okay, so next one. Mary bought her son a new car. Find your subject, Mary. What did she do? Bought. Bought who? Could answer son, but she didn't buy her son. She didn't pay for her son. What did she buy? Bought what? Bought car. So Mary's our subject, bought is our verb, and car is our direct object. So let's write car underneath. Okay, so car is our direct object. So think about what is actually being bought or what is actually being assigned. Think about what that is actually instead of what it could be in this case. Okay, next one. Mom sang me a lullaby. Mom is our subject. And what did she do? She sang. Sang who? You could say sang me, but she's not singing me. She's not singing that word me. She sang what? Sang lullaby. So lullaby is our direct object. Okay, next one. Joey gave the package to the mailman. Who? Joey. What did he do? Gave. Gave who? Gave mailman. He didn't give the mailman. He didn't wrap up the mailman and give it to someone. He gave package. Okay, so that's what's actually being given. So package is our direct object. Okay. All right, now that we have had some practice with direct object, let's look at what indirect object is. You can probably guess it's something a little bit opposite of direct, because direct and indirect are opposites of each other. However, it's kind of more so not opposite, but like one more step to the direct object. So now your indirect object tells to whom or for whom. I know that's that goofy word we talked about. Whom tells to whom or for whom the action of the verb who is receiving the direct object. Now that's the fancy definition that you should write. Oops, I'm sorry, you can't see all that. That's the fancy definition you should write down. But here's the plain Jane, easier definition. Someone gets, or someone, or something now gets the direct object. Okay, so now it's kind of being transferred one more time, and you can actually kind of ask yourself another plus who or what. So it's kind of doubled this end part of the equation. Subject plus verb plus who or what. Once you find that, and then find your direct object, then ask yourself direct object who, direct object what. So it's being transferred one more time. Maybe I'll write that in here. Transferred one more time. Maybe that part of it will help you. Okay, so someone or something gets the direct object is what it is saying. So now let's go back. If you need to pause here, go ahead. Otherwise, let's go back to the sentences down below and let's find the indirect objects for these same sentences. Now, Mrs. Miller, so we're going to use our same equation, subject plus verb plus who or what. Okay, Mrs. Miller assigned homework. Now this direct object is being transferred to someone or something else. So now who's receiving the direct object? Us. So the word us is actually our indirect, I-O. Maybe I'll write capital I-O, indirect object. So I'm going to write that underneath this word here, or this flap here. Us. Okay, next one. Mary bought her son a new car. Mary bought car. Now who's receiving the car? Son. So son is actually our indirect object. Label that I-O. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to our last two sentences. Mom sang me a lullaby. Mom is our subject. What did she do? Sang. Sang who? No. Sang what? Lullaby. Now who's receiving the lullaby? Me. So me is our indirect object. So that's kind of what I meant by it's one more step, or it's being transferred one more time. Joey, what did he do? Gave. Gave who? No. Gave what? Package. Package who? Mailman. So he gave the package to the mailman. He's receiving, or she's receiving, the direct object. So that is our indirect object. Okay. All right. So that is all the notes for today. You are going to now log on to the other part of this assignment on Google Classroom. There's a Google Slides. You're just filling out one slide on there, and you'll see some red boxes on this chart that you're filling in that says type here. You're going to look at the sentence that's across from that, or that's in that row, and in each box you're going to type in the action verb. And so I'm kind of skipping the subject part, but you're going to find the action verb or the verb, and then the direct object. And then if there is a direct object or indirect object in the sentence, it will leave the box blank for you so that you can type it in. There are some sentences that don't have an indirect object, and those are typed in for you. They say none on there. Okay, and let me know if you have any questions.